Based on everything you just told me, Hirsch, does it make sense for us to work together?
I think it does. I am not sure about the timing. I have a lot of commitments and a lot of things that I'm doing. And I also am just trying to manage, just trying to budget accordingly. I had done my budget previously for the year. And so now I would have to rethink the budget. And I'm also working with some people now, and I want to get the most out of those relationships. So
Has this ever happened to you, listener, in that you are excited, you're ready to work with a new prospect, and you invite them to join you, and they get a list of reasons like time and money? And I'm surprised Hirsch didn't tell me about a bunion on his knee that needs operation, and
I
hence,
try not to bother people with my medical issues. That said, I also we have 2 dogs now, and so that means twice the care, twice the appointments and grooming issues. So now that you mention it, Nancy, I don't know. This is going to
okay.
be complicated.
Okay, so listener, I hope you're getting the idea. Whose story are you buying? Because that is the sale that's being made. Are you selling your prospect or are they selling you? And that's our conversational topic for today. So, what are your, I mean, Hirsch, you had some recent experiences where you want
Well,
to
yeah,
share?
I think that it's more that I've called into question whose story I'm in.
Yeah.
So that when I listen to people, because part of what I do is being empathetic, listening is such a huge part of what I do for my clients in building their brands. But I have to separate that from the life that I'm living, especially in the moment that I'm talking to them. Am I really in their story, in which they may be giving themselves excuses not to work with me? And I'm just accepting that because I want to listen to them and I want to yes and I don't want to be negative. So I often find myself in the midst of a story that maybe I'm not doing them a service by believing that story.
Oh my gosh, you said the right words. I am so excited right now because I think that your improv background, the yes and, could be a factor in not closing sales.
Yeah, that's
Okay?
possible. Yeah.
Because now uh, improv, for those of you who don't know, and by the way, I haven't taken a course on improv or anything like, and I think you have. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe you should be the one that explains the yes and concept in improv.
Okay, thank you. So yes and is a rule of improvisation whereby you accept what your scene partner is offering without exception. You never say no. So if they say Martians landed, you don't say no, they didn't. It was people from Venus. You could simply say yes, and there's a whole crew from Venus right behind them. So rather than contradict or negate, you're building on the comedy so that you never diminish or shut down what the other person is saying. And so, Nancy, your point may be that I have trained myself
Yes,
to accept the offer of
yes,
the world that the client is giving me, except
yes,
this is real life.
yes. I love it. I love it. So, Hirsch, years ago, when I had my first official coach, um, she basically gave me this understanding because I would go and meet with her. I think we had group coaching maybe every other week and individual coaching once a month. So about 3 times a month there was an opportunity to talk with her. And I was struggling to close sales. Yes, the sales psychologist, the sales whisperer, had trouble closing sales. You see, that's another story about my background. But at any rate, she basically said, whose story are you buying? Because if you buy your prospect story with all their hardships and whatever it is that's going on, when you say yes and to their situations, guess what you're doing? You're unfortunately giving up your power. You are accepting their story, and they become the seller, and you now the buyer.
Yeah, very well said. The fact that you're trading roles is not good for anyone.
No.
Quite often we'll do meet and greet calls. We don't know whether the person's going to be a client or a colleague or a referral resource or vice versa. So while we're still in that world of determining where we're at, it's good to absorb everybody's information and story. But once we've established I can help you, you can be helped by what I have to offer, but you may have certain blocks or objections, and I may have certain solutions that you haven't heard yet. We know who the roles are. We know who we are. So why would I be helping you by just saying, okay, I get it.
That is the key. You being helpful and owning your power. We have to stand in our power. And for many of us, and for those of you who understand the 2, 4, 6, 8, the numbers of the buying styles, particularly the number 4 buyer, when they are in a sales situation, are the most likely to accept the other person's messages and go yes and, because they want to be agreeable, they're people pleasers, they hate rejection, they refrain from conflict. So many reasons that the number 4 will buy into the other person's story. But number 4s out there, listen closely to what I'm about to say. You've got a big heart, you want to help, and you're in a position to help. You need to own that with authority. You need to state clearly, concisely, emphatically, strongly, I can solve the problem. Now, there may be other solutions. I accept that. And the person is certainly welcome to look into and explore and select another solution. But that doesn't negate the power and the greatness, the brilliance that you bring, that your solution offers. So own it. Don't shrink back and like, well, okay, so there's a bunion on the knee and the dogs need medical care and,
Yeah.
you've got no time.
Well, that okay, so and that speaks directly to me, literally, figuratively, any way you can imagine, because I have that for quality, and we may have other, personality traits certainly that are at play, but I definitely have that accommodating,
Yeah.
uh, you know, personality trait, and I have to remind myself not to let that end up doing a disservice to the prospect, because if I roll over too easily, they continue to do the same thing they're doing, which you've already established is not helping them. So I have a question for you, Nancy. So what about when someone is so okay, let's say I haven't just accepted it, and I've come back and explained, I really would like to see you accomplish these goals that you've already made clear you want to accomplish. And they're like, yes, I'm just very firm that I must do A, B, C first. And let's say I know that maybe this is a block they're putting up, but they really don't see it that way.
It's funny you should mention that because last week, or it was the week before, I was talking in a group and I made an offer to do a LinkedIn audit. It's something that I do complimentary. And the gal she wrote in chat that she was going to be working on her LinkedIn audit and that she would look at my services, which were free. She wasn't even going to pay for them, that she would make use of the audit after she did the revisions. And I wrote back in the chat because it wasn't being said out loud at this point. Someone else was talking. I said, so you're going to go to the gym after you lose weight? And she laughed. And as a result, she signed up for the audit. In fact, we had it earlier today. And again, we had a big laugh about it because this is a very typical, I guess, illogical way that many of us proceed. we feel self-conscious about whatever it is that we haven't accomplished. And hence, we then shy away from the person offering a solution because they're going to see and know that we haven't gotten it all together. We're not at that perfect place. Well, I've got news for you. Nobody's going to be at a perfect place. None of us arrive. We all have areas where we need to develop and grow. So that message about, let me get it together and, then we'll work. Oftentimes, Hirsch, I need to take a look at the time frame. So you're going to invest time in creating some kind of LinkedIn profile. It's going to have deficits, and then you're going to say, okay, let's fix them. Whereas maybe I could save you time by getting you to that point, by identifying where the priorities are, which I did for her, so that she's actually going to be spending less time and she'll be more focused and directed on where she's going to get the bigger bang for the buck. Was that worth it for her to invest 45 minutes today in the LinkedIn audit? I think it was.
That's another telltale sign that you bring up, that someone is possibly avoiding progress, where you offer something like we each have. I have a quiz that I developed as a personal branding quiz, and I will offer that. It's not it's a free thing. It's a lead magnet. It just is something that people can do, and they get great feedback, and they get a sense of where they're at with their personal brand. But someone might say, well, I'll let you know if I want to take that. I'll let you know if I want to take that quiz. It takes 60 seconds, and it's free, and it's a unique perspective that you couldn't get on your own. Why wouldn't you take it? Why wouldn't you take advantage of that? And
it's
I think
sales
sometimes
resistance.
Yeah, it's resistance.
We all have sales resistance, even for things that are free. Okay, because the most precious commodity is our time. And so whether it's 60 seconds or 3 minutes or 4 hours or 20 days, whatever it might be, we all have resistance. I always, when I start off presentations, I thank people for investing their time. It's something you can't get back. And so right now, listener and viewer, thank you for investing your time, because, and we hope that we're making good, adding value to your time so that it was a worthwhile exchange, because we can't get more time.
Yeah. I want to express appreciation as well. Because I do understand that. And we live in a world where our attention spans are so are diced up like onions. We can't focus on one thing for too long. And that's another thing to be aware of. In fact, in our next conversation, we might focus on the attention span of the prospect
Yes,
and the
let's do
attention
that.
span of the salesperson.
Let's do that, because we are about reaching our time. I'm noticing that we're heading towards the 14-minute mark, and we want to be respectful of your time. I hope you got value. Give us a comment. We really would appreciate what morsel, what takeaway did you get from this conversation? What did it stimulate for you? Because a lot of our ideal clients are people who are that number 4 buyer, who they deserve so much. They have a lot to offer. They're smart, they're educated, they're high achievers, and at the same time, they shy away from marketing and sales. Well, we want to help you shine and get what you deserve. So, to your sales success, Dr. Nancy Zaire, Sales Whisperer.
And Hirsch Rephun, your personal brand builder.
To your